Hey, how are you?
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm phenomenal.
All right. There we go. How's the day going?
It's been good. Just a few calls and s- hanging in there.
Yeah. So
Yep.
what are we going to talk about today?
Yeah, so I was just getting to know you because my friend Daniel Hammond
Oh yeah,
said
yeah.
Facebook connection was saying I should meet you.
Yeah. So I do about 40 Zoom calls a week in various things. Outreach to me, client interactions, lunch club calls, and referrals from folks that know who I am and kind of what I do. So um, Daniel, let's see, remind me, he's an author, right?
Yep.
Okay, and what was the book that he wrote?
I don't remember.
Okay. So what's his area of specialization or focus?
I know he's called like the business interrogator.
Oh yeah, yeah. Great. Yeah, he was ex-military, taught
Yep.
interrogation services, did weapons of mass destruction interrogation of Chemical Ali, and yeah, I remember that call very, very well.
Yeah.
So what do you do?
So myself, I'm an author. I'm also a ghostwriter
Okay.
for other authors. And then I also do sales for a company, Alchemist Nation.
What do
So
they
they
do?
have us selling like masterminds and event sponsorships.
Okay. So how does event sponsorships work? How do they price those things? Is there a formula for that?
I
They
think it
just
just
tell you.
depends on each like particular
Okay.
company and individual. I mean, I've generally I mean, so like with our company, for example, they charge either $200 a month, or you can pay like 2,000 upfront and you save the $400. And then they also are thinking about doing an option to do like 25,000 like for the whole year and just um I don't know, I've never heard any exact science to it. It just kind of just depends on what kind of profits that particular business is looking to generate. It's kind of the way I view the pricing of it.
Hmm. So usually with events, there's a consideration of who the audience is, how big the audience is,
Yep.
stratification of the audience. So if it's $10 million and up companies with CEOs, that's going to be a whole different price list than 5,000 home crafters,
hmm
you know.
Yeah, because our groups, so our events normally bring in anywhere from like 20 to 50 or more people. It's kind of, I mean, 50 is like generally our biggest events though.
Mhm.
And so and it's also like a monthly thing, like, and we don't charge the guests who show up anything to be there. We just charge the sponsors. So it's a little, it just depends on, the audience, what you're looking to achieve, how often you're meeting, all that stuff.
And typically, what's the subject nature of the events that you're doing?
So for our company in particular, we are we serve our community serves mainly business owners and real estate professionals.
Mhm.
So our sponsors are generally people in the real estate space, so like real estate attorneys, mortgage lenders, like
Brokers.
contract services, like because we generally teach the people in our community to go invest. So, we really are catered mainly towards investors. And so we just kind of mainly look for sponsors that can just help them complete the transaction that,
Yeah.
that we bet. But for other events, that may look completely different, as you can imagine.
So tell me about your ghostwriting.
Yeah, so I mean, I kind of got into that just because I'm an author myself, so I've written 4 books of my own. So a lot of friends would be like, "Well, you're the only author I know, so hey, help me write a book."
Did you self-publish or did you work with a publisher?
I just self-published.
Okay. And what kind of distribution have you had with the books that you've written?
I only just sell one primarily. The others are, I mean, I only have two that are available for sale, but the one main book, so my first book, I got a copy of it with me. It's How to Read 50 Books in a Year Like a CEO. And so that one is the one that I carry around with me. I've only been just promoting it through like word of mouth. Um, and just like, going to events and stuff, and people just want to buy it off me. But I've only mainly got my sales just through just word of mouth mainly.
Does the book help you in other areas?
Um, I would say so. I mean, it's kind of it's not a direct it's not a direct relationship. So what I mean by that is I've gotten like speaking opportunities just because people build a relationship with me and they're like, "Oh, well, you're an author, so I think, let's have you on here, let's interview you, right?"
Right.
And then something I learned recently was that like 80% of people want to write a book, but only 1% of them out of that group actually do it. So it kind of like it just is an instant credibility thing. And also, I mean, it's a lot easier to make a book than people think it is, but
Well, I mean, with AI today, I mean, if you're reasonably competent with any of the generative models, you can write really, really good stuff really fast. I typically will do a 50-page ebook in about 4 hours.
nice.
Yeah, but I've trained the models based on examples of how I want it structured.
Hmm.
Basically what I'll do is I'll give it an outline and I'll ask it to provide, ask me any questions that would need to be answered in order to fully elaborate on the outlined subject.
Hmm.
And that's a book right there.
Interesting. I like that. I'm gonna have to do that. I,
Oh,
I've not thought of that, but
well,
yeah,
when you make, do you do mind maps at all?
not really.
Well, so here's the way it works is, you've got a subject and
Hmm.
that subject could be the mass subject of the book. Okay. And then from that, you've got chapter one, chapter two, chapter three, chapter four. And then in each chapter, you've got subject, 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 right? So it's kind of like a flower, right? So
Hmm.
it's the subject connected to the chapter, connected to the content, right?
Hmm.
That's the structure. That's called graph vector data. And it's the way Facebook works, it's the way LinkedIn works, it's the way all modern high-speed Google, all of these are based on vector graphic interactions. So when you make an outline, you've got main point, sub, 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 right? A sub, B sub, C sub, right? And so essentially what that is that's a hierarchy that represents the big going to the smaller going to the smallest. And that smaller has got, its own content around that. And then underneath that is the content around that. And once you start thinking that way in terms of data structure, I like using Claude Opus as opposed to using GPT,
Hmm.
Chat GPT. because
Yep.
it has a better understanding of organization. So you can give it an outline of what you want to do and ask it to rearrange the content in a more orderly fashion for better story flow. And you can say, rearrange the following content to follow the hero's journey narrative model. And so it'll go in and it'll take all what you've done and arrange it in the hero's journey or against all odds or, you know, whatever,
Hmm.
whatever model that you want to use.
Okay. Interesting. Opus. And you said it was the AI tool Opus.
Yeah, Claude Opus. It's by Anthropic,
And how do you spell Claude?
Claude, just like the person's name,
Okay.
and it's Opus.
Okay, cool. So, and then what is it that you do?
Everything. So I've been in business as an entrepreneur for 50 years. I started my first company when I was 19 printing t-shirts. I grew that company from 200,000 a year to 4.5 million in 18 months with no computers, no spreadsheet, no internet, no social media, no email, no fax, no nothing.
That is
So,
awesome.
and that was 48 years ago, something like that. I was 23 when I did it. That
Hmm.
company is still running today. I build companies that last. So now what I do is I help business owners to make more money in less time. So if
Hmm.
you want to double your income in half the time, that's what I do. That's where we start. And then it goes four times your income in one-fourth the time, 10 times your income in one-tenth of the time. And then it's unlimited after that. 1,000 times your income in one-thousandth of the time. It's knowing where to look and how to think. And everybody is contained in their own prison, their own mental prison of, I've got to do this work in order to get paid. That's called a work for hire or an earned income mentality. And all of the most wealthiest people in the world, the Jeff Bezos, the Elon Musks, um, any of the Jeff, the Bill Gates, the Warren Buffetts, they use their mind to come up with the idea, and that creates the value from their mind. So I teach people how to free their mind.
Hmm. Interesting. So cool. Now I see why you wanted me to meet you. Man. Yeah, cause what happened to me recently, so I lost my job in January, and so I've been working for myself since then, and
How's that going?
notice it's been difficult because I've never had to like think for myself before because because most of my life
That's a
was.
key thing. And I
Mhm.
don't mean to, be labeling or stereotypes, but I have found, and I work with hundreds of businesses and hundreds of individuals, and I've advised at the university level for 25 years on designing curriculum that will be taught 6 years in the future. Can you imagine today trying to predict what's going to happen 6 years from now? Here's the framework to what should be taught. Here's the subjects. That's what I do. And so what I found is the younger generations, Gen Z and the millennials on the cusp of Gen Z, Zoomers, they've grown up all digital. And in the world of instant access, it's swipe, swipe, scroll, watch a video, text for validation, swipe, swipe, scroll, text, watch a video. They live in this world and they're looking for validation within their peer group. They don't want to reach out and have a conversation like we're having today. right? They're afraid to be face to face because they don't know how that conversation is going to go, and it freaks them out. You know, you can ghost somebody easy on text or email.
Yep.
It's no problem, right? It's like easy come, easy go. But in real life, it's the relationship. And you mentioned that earlier on. It's the relationship. If you can maintain a relationship, you're 80% of the way there. The second thing is, do you are you a critical thinker? And the question I can see from your face is, what the hell's a critical thinker? Right? A
Yeah.
critical thinker is having a stack of mental models that you can work through to solve any problem. Would that be
Mm.
something that would be interesting to you?
Yeah.
To
Well, I
have,
don't have one.
and well, of
Yeah.
course, that's why you're faced with the struggle right now, is that you're in a situation where you lack the clarity of what to do. You
Hmm.
lack the confidence of what to do and how to do it. And you lack the personal self-confidence of saying, if I figure this out and the pathway to what you have to do and how you do it, can I do that? Am I capable of doing that? Those three things lead to the fourth step, which is commitment. If you're clear and you're confident in yourself, you can commit to something with an outcome. The fact that you've written a book, you've worked in this framework without even knowing it.
Hmm.
You've worked through it and figured out what you need to do. You're a smart person, otherwise you would never reach out on a referral. That you're
Hmm.
willing to take a risk, you're willing to expose yourself, you're willing to put yourself in a position where you might be judged. I don't believe in, I only believe in two things. I believe in success and the cost of the lesson. Those are the only two things. What's missing?
Time.
Yes. But if it's success, what would a normal person say on the other side? You're either successful or you're
A failure. I mean, I don't think of it that way.
exactly. This is an example of containing your thought. The physical word failure has so much negative connotation. But if I reframe that as the cost of the lesson, it's like, man, I had a big failure. Man, that was an expensive lesson. My most expensive lesson in my life, $3.2 million.
Ooh.
That was an expensive lesson. And I learned that lesson in only 9 months. So if you look at the price per month of that lesson, that was painful. But I didn't let it get put me into a negative state. Negativity pulls you down. It blocks your ability to think creatively. You
Hmm.
have to be you have to be in a state of creativity. You have to be in a state of neutrality, looking at a situation and saying, what's going on here? Is it true? And if you look at the world that we live in today, this is a huge challenge because we're surrounded by so much false information, fake news, somebody else's agenda, distraction, right? There's all these things that are going on to keep us from thinking for ourselves. If you're calm, you can literally say, okay, what's going on here? What's actually happening here? Is it true? Is it really true? How do I know it's really true? Did somebody just tell it to me? Did I hear it on the internet? Was it in my sphere of friends? Did I see it in a comment stream or a chat stream? Did I see it on X? How do I know it's true? Is it true? Is it really true? And that is as evidenced by this and this and this to support that position. Third part is really important. Is it true for me? There's a lot of truths in the world that are not true for me. And
Hmm.
the fourth part is, what does this mean for me? So being able to look at anything from that lens as the first qualifier for whether it's worth my time to explore, right? I'm still in exploration mode, right? And so the situation is, what is this event I'm looking at? Reduce everything to a simple event in time. There's no label on it. It's not good. It's not bad. It's not catastrophic. It's not unprecedented. It's not this. It's not pandemic. It's not anything. It's just an event in time, right? If it's an event in time, there's only three things that can happen, and two of them are bad, right? The good thing that can happen is this event will further my journey in life toward my ultimate life objective. Well, I don't know what that is. That's part of the problem, is that if you don't have a clear idea of your purpose and your function in life, then you can't make a decision on something, whether it's going to be effective for you or not effective. The two negative things are, number one, very clear. This absolutely is not going to move me or better me or help me in any way. That's the way we normally think. I'll reserve that for a moment. The second one, the second bad thing is the worst thing of all. That is, I don't know if this is good or bad. I don't know if I do this job, it's going to be good. I don't know if this is going to help me overall. It seems like an opportunity, but I don't know. I need to think about it. I need to research it. All of that takes time. And time is the one resource that all of us have that cannot be renewed. How you use that time in your life is the most valuable thing that you could ever do. And so when you evaluate everything and set in the sense of what's my time worth, typical situation is, well, I'm worth $25 an hour, or I'm worth $20 an hour, or I'm worth $100,000 a year. That's super short-sighted. That's expendable based on the service that you deliver or the job that you do, or, I got to do this to get paid this. Your value to the world is unlimited. And when you start thinking of that and you start looking at what comes to you as unlimited resource, nuclear fuel that doesn't ever exhaust itself for your intellect and your creativity and your insight, right? Now you've got, the world is wide open. What's the problem here? What are we faced with in this situation? I'm faced with the immediate issue of, I need to get a job. Do you need to get a job? You don't need a job. You need income. You need income to survive. How you get that may or may not require you to work. And in today's world with AI and with all of the opportunities that are out there for affiliate marketing and all these different kinds of things, you don't really have to have a job. You don't really have to work. You can create things and websites and drive traffic to that website with an affiliate link to ClickBank or any affiliate program, Amazon, and it's earning money 24/7 without your intervention into it all. You can set up A, B, C, D. You set up 100 of those, and if each one would only make $10 a day, that's $1,000 a day working on autopilot. A little bit of front end work, and it just keeps going. So it's like we constrain ourselves because we think like there's no jobs out there. Nobody's looking for this. They're not going to hire me. I don't have enough experience. I sold t-shirts before t-shirts were a thing. And I got so much negativity. I'm wasting my time. This is going nowhere. You're spending all this money. This is the stupidest thing ever. I thought you were smarter than that. What were you thinking? All that kind of negativity, that doubt. But I saw things and I see the world, and I've always seen the world as a contrarian. So when something doesn't work, the first thing I say is, what would have to happen to make that work? If everybody's looking over here to where success is, and nobody's looking at the vast number of failures. You start looking at failures and then flip your view and say, what would have to happen to make that work? You have no competition. There's nobody over there. There's nobody there. But everybody goes to where they think all the people are and where everybody's doing the same thing. And I'm going to fit into this. And, now I got to compete and convince people that I'm different than everybody else and I'm worth extra money than everybody else because there's always going to be somebody cheaper, right?
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Um,
That's a lot to chew on.
just a lot to process.
Well,
I
I,
was,
re I record every call I do.
mhm.
I transcript that call and I put it into AI and I analyze the semantic conversation in AI. And I can see where the clusters of data are based on what we talked about. And I can see where the void is between those clusters of data. And that void is where data should be, but isn't. That's the hidden pattern within the pattern. Nobody's looking there. Nobody's even thinking about it. So I'm finding ways of seeing unseen patterns. It's like having X-ray vision. What's behind the curtain? I can see right through
Mhm. I'm just so dumbfounded.
it.
This is cool. I was not expecting this for my afternoon.
Well, Daniel and I had a great call, and you know, we're kind of coming to the end of this, unfortunately, because my time is like mega blocked on my calendar. But what's your takeaway at this point?
Um, I mean, just the one thing you kind of said that stood out to me is that my value to the world is unlimited. And, you know, right now, I just need an income. It doesn't have to be a job. I just need to think of a way and do a thing that provides income to get me towards my goal.
So
And
here's the thing.
having, hmm
You need to look at the world
hmm
like I could write a book for Mark. That would be a job, right?
hmm
But if you can write a book that connects me to my audience in a way that makes me super valued to my audience, now it's not me and you, it's me and the end customers benefiting me. It's an indirect bounce. And in the process of doing that, you become much more valuable because if you do it once, you can do it many times. You can say, we start here, we go here, we do here. Instead of one book, it's 5 books.
hmm
So it's think first principle thinking is I need a job. Second order thinking is why is that important? Well, because then I can feed myself. Okay, what happens after that? Well, then maybe I could buy a new car. Maybe, ultimately I could buy a new house. Okay, what happens after that? You see where I'm going? I'm taking you to the end of once we get past the material consumption, it's all about our mind. It's all about what we can do with our mind. There's only so much that we can consume. And this is what keeps everybody down is that we live in a consumer society. They tell us about money, which is a construct. It's totally made up. It's totally fake, right? I've gone 4 years with no paycheck before, nothing, no income for 4 years because I don't embrace the fact that money is a limiting factor for me. I can find ways of trading. If I need food, I can trade for food. I can trade service for food. I can provide insight for food. I can have lunch with somebody and have them buy lunch to pick my brain, right?
hmm
There's all kinds of things that you can do, but we can strain ourselves with our own thinking about that. So what I would offer for you, I will as soon as the Zoom recording link is done, I will send you the link so that you can download it and listen to this again, make more precise notes on it. But I want you to think about it from your perspective. I've been through really, really dark times. Um, Times I was ready to just give up life with. And I watched my whole life from 40 years get wiped away in a period of less than 2 years. And at age 58, I looked up over the smoking rubble of my life, $700,000 in debt, lost my son to leukemia. We'd spent all the money we had trying to keep him alive and still were not successful. And I could have said to myself at that point, I can accept these circumstances and have them redefine who I am for the rest of my life. And I will die a bitter, angry, frustrated old man early. Or I can say, what were the lessons learned out of this? What were the things, the experiences along the way? Even though many of those experiences were very, very painful, including the loss of my son. But that was not the end. That was just the beginning, because he revealed things to us as he was passing from this life to the next of what it's like on the other side. He went back and forth for 2 days and told us what it was like. Completely changed my life, completely changed the way I look at things. And I look at the world today, and what I see power trying to hold everyone down and control everyone down through their thinking. My contribution is to find a better way and share it with others. And it's been that mission statement for my entire life. That's why I do these calls.
Hmm.
No expectation.
And then besides the recording, what should be my next steps?
I want you to think about what we talked about.
Mm.
And I want you to come back and say, okay, if there were no constraints on me, if there were no constraints on me, let's do an exploration around your potential, what your full potential as an individual is. Not being male, not being black, not being young, not being out of work, not being any of that. Take those labels all off of it. You are you are God. You are a vision of God, and you're here to make an impact. And your discomfort that you're experiencing right now is a test of your personal will and your personal focus on attaining the greater good or the full potential that you can do.
And just so you know, I'm just jotting down your question.
That's totally fine. Totally fine. Thurban, what's your last name?
James.
James.
Yep.
And it was interesting when you put the company, you put me. I'm thinking like, oh, if he works for me.com.
No, I am the company, which is me. I do have a company name, but I don't. Nobody cares for that stuff. Like
Yeah,
it's just.
exactly. It's like, what's the impact here? You know, and what I would ask you is from our conversation, our short time here together, as you think about this and as you go back and you listen to this call again, I want you to come back and say, okay, Mark, this is how you can help me. This is what I need guidance on. I never give advice. I never give advice. I only share experiences. And the reason I only share an experience is because if you ask me a question or if I ask you a question, there's an implied answer. And that answer could be an implied judgment. And I don't ever want you to feel that anything that I do is ever judging in any way. So I always say, help me understand your situation. Tell me about your situation. Then we move whatever's happening in your life to a story. And we look at that story and we talk about that story and we collaborate around the story, not around the individual. So you should
Mhm.
never ever feel you're in a situation to where you will ever be judged or diminished in any way.
Mhm. Man, you have such a unique philosophy. I love it.
The world needs to hear this. I mean, the world is all about division. The left needs the right to be the bad guy, the right needs the left to be the bad guy, and all of us are caught in the middle. We're caught in the crossfire. Neither solution solves anything for anybody. It's all
Mhm.
about the lack of something. If you listen to the anything that's in the news or whatever, it's always about what's wrong. It's never about what's right. It's never about the possibilities of improving the situation. That's what we have to do is we have to focus on what can we do to make it better. I'm driven to find a better way in anything that I do and help others find the better way for them.
Mhm.
Everybody's unique. It's not good, it's not bad. That uniqueness is based on our own self-limitation of how we've been raised. I've found the most success with people that have had a difficult time growing up. If you had a difficult childhood, if you went through um, financial times, difficulties with parents and family, whatever it is, that adversity is a major asset. What I find is the kids that are growing up and the people that I work with that have had everything pretty much easy all their whole life, they're completely ill prepared for any kind of unexpected disruption, any kind of change, right? You know the term deer in the headlights or scared stiff, right? That's completely unprepared. You're frozen and immobile. You can't act. So what I can teach you is how to never ever be in that situation
Mhm.
because I've been through some, like I said, very, very dark times and it would have been easy to give up, but I didn't have a choice. If I gave up, somebody was going to die. And that's a pretty serious gun to the head kind of mentality.
Mm. Yeah, I don't know what it is, but like even though I'm in debt right now and I'm behind on bills and things, like there is a certain like I don't know, I just have this belief that I can figure it out and I
You will.
can,
God,
you know.
God sent you here. I'm not, I'm not a religious person in the sense that going to church is going to get everything great. Church is all about controlling the congregation. I'm an incredibly spiritual person. I am rooted in analytics, mathematics, physics, chemistry, rules-based statistics. And when you start getting into numbers and you're serious about mathematics, you realize there's no way that our world could ever have randomly existed. There has to be a higher order. There has to be a higher intelligence.
Mhm.
And that's what drives me is that and I say if there's a higher intelligence that created me and everyone else that's out here, why shouldn't I be talking to this entity, this life force, this intelligence? And my perspective is not my perspective, it's the perspective that's being shared through me. So this is
Mhm.
your lucky day, my friend. This is the day that changes your life.
Absolutely.
So let's make
Alrighty.
a difference. Let's explore this and it may be frustrating. It may be like learning a new foreign language because you're going to be seeing the world in a completely different way. However in debt you are, it's nothing. It's only in your mind how in debt you are. So we
Mhm.
can fix that really quick. So I would suggest at this point, you've got my calendar link, schedule an hour next week while there's still some time on the calendar. I usually do about 40 calls a week. So it
Mhm.
gets really busy. Right now, the week is fairly open next week. So grab an hour and
Mhm.
dive into what we've done here and let's do some deep exploration and let's make some progress. Come up with a
Absolutely.
plan.
Hmm. Will do.
All right.
Yep. Thank you, Mark.
Have a thoughtful rest of the day.
Yeah, you as well.
I will. Cheers.
Yep. Bye.